The grandmother Emma used to prepare certain types of herbal mixtures. One day her grandchildren came back from university feeling stressed and tense from exams, so she wanted to give them a drink but unfortunately, she did not have enough knowledge to know what could be used in these drinks, and what was toxic, so she put a large amount of ground apple seeds, and she claimed that it had many benefits, but unfortunately this caused cyanide poisoning for all her grandchildren. While plant toxicity is relatively rare, especially considering that most fruits and vegetables we regularly consume are generally safe, it's still important to understand how certain parts of plants can pose health risks. Toxicity can occur not from the flesh of the fruit, but from other components such as seeds, leaves, or stems. Notable examples include castor seeds, oleander, and the seeds found in many palm fruits like apples. Let's take a closer look at apple seeds as a specific example. Apple seeds contain a naturally occurring compound called amygdalin. When apple seeds are chewed and digested, amygdalin is converted by the body into hydrogen cyanide, a highly toxic substance. Hydrogen cyanide can interfere with cellular respiration, making it potentially dangerous in large enough quantities. However, it's important to note that the amount of amygdalin in a few apple seeds is typically too low to cause harm in humans. The body can usually detoxify small amounts of cyanide efficiently. Still, consuming a large number of apple seeds at once, especially if they're crushed or chewed, can pose a risk. The toxic dose of cyanide for humans typically ranges between 200 to 300 milligrams. In contrast, the amount of cyanide potentially released from apple seeds is much lower, approximately 0.6 milligrams per gram of crushed seeds. This means that for cyanide poisoning to occur from apple seeds, a person would need to chew and ingest the seeds from around 20 to 30 whole apples, depending on the size and number of seeds each fruit contains. In normal dietary amounts, apple seed consumption is unlikely to cause harm, but large, intentional ingestion could pose a serious risk. Our cells normally works to produce energy in the form of ATP, which is the cell's energy currency. This vital process called aerobic respiration primarily occurs in the mitochondria. A key player in the final step of this process is an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase, also known as complex 4, found within the electron transport chain. Cyanide, CN, is a potent poison. Its primary toxic effect comes from its ability to inhibit cytochrome C oxidase. Cyanide has a high affinity for the ferric ion at the active site of this enzyme. This binding prevents cytochrome C oxidase from accepting electrons, blocking the cell utilization of oxygen. This leads to a condition called histotoxic hypoxia, which means that our body contains oxygen, but the cells are not able to utilize it. The consequences of cyanide poisoning are devastating. In the CNS, it disrupts brain function, causing a range of symptoms from headache and agitation to seizures and coma. Cardiovascular effects include changes in heart rate, initially a rapid heart rate, followed by a slow heart rate, low blood pressure, hypotension, and potential cardiac arrest. The respiratory system is also affected, with breathing potentially becoming rapid initially, then slowing down, and ultimately leading to respiratory arrest. Pulmonary edema. The symptoms of cyanide poisoning include vomiting and nausea, dizziness, restlessness, a headache, rapid heart rate and breathing confusion, seizures, cardiac arrest, loss of consciousness, hypotension, lung injury, respiratory failure. Exposure to large amounts of cyanide can be fatal. To control the poisoning that occurs from the CN, we have steps in principle in case of knowledge of poisoning within 1 to 2 hours. We can start washing the stomach in active charcoal, but it is essential to use the CN kit. The constituents of the kit includes amyl nitrite, sodium nitride, sodium thiosulfate, and vitamin C. We make the patient inhale amyl nitrite from a tissue until preparing the cannula. In the cannula we administer non-nitrite. The role of nitrite is to convert hemoglobin to methemoglobin, which had greater affinity for CN, so it take it from complex 4 and restore the cellular respiratory. At this time we can observe the symptoms what the patient suffering from is begin to improve. Then administer Na-thiosulfate to make water-soluble complex with CN in the form of thiocyanate, which is easily excreted through the urine, and finally we should reverse the methemoglobin to hemoglobin via using a reducing agent like vitamin C. So, how to reduce risk of cyanogenic plants? There are several methods. 1. Peeling. This removes most cyanide-containing parts. 2. Soaking in water. For at least 24 to 48 hours, it helps to leach out cyanide. 3. Boiling or fermentation. It breaks down cyanogenic compounds. 4. Sun drying or roasting. It also reduces cyanide levels. General tips: avoid eating large amounts of seeds from stone fruits. Only consume bitter almonds if they've been properly processed. Educate communities on safe preparation techniques, especially where cassava is a dietary staple.